Hey everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to Wake Up Wednesday. So wake up. These Wake Up Wednesdays are an opportunity for us to reinvigorate one another, for us to recharge and recalibrate towards our plan. And the way that we do that is by checking against our GSD list, which is an outcome-driven list, which helps us make progress towards our outcome and our plan and not towards our to-dos. So if you're a list guy like me and you like to work on your to-dos and check your to-dos off, and you feel good about checking those to-dos off, but those to-dos don't build towards an outcome, a 3, a 6, a 9, a 12, an 18-month deliverable, and it doesn't make progress in the project or the plan, then what's the point anyway? You're just going from meeting to meeting, you're double and triple booked, you have people querying you in the query system, there are people coming to you in multiple different chats, and the days just become a blur and they go on and on and on. So welcome to Wake Up Wednesdays, and wake up. I want to talk to you guys today about an article I posted in the group chat entitled Setting the Ground Rules for Success, the Do's and Don'ts of Project Management. And I just want to check my notes here for a moment so we can discuss those tips. And there are 7 tips for setting the rules for success in project management and the do's and don'ts. And those tips are: number 1, show respect. Number 2, be a human being. Number 3, create a team environment. Number 4, set and maintain the frame. Number 5, keep great documentation. Number 6, keep those feedback loops flowing. And number 7, celebrate those good times. So when you are a project manager and you are setting the ground rules for success, it is not just about hitting deadlines and managing resources. It is more about creating collaborative and respectful environments where everyone feels valued and heard. And you do that by establishing clear ground rules and setting the do's and don'ts. And the way that you do that is by the beginning of your project, establishing these ground rules. If you're not fortunate enough to come in at the project in the beginning and you're coming in towards the middle, or you're coming towards the end of the project to close it out, then what you want to do, the first thing is you want to send these out to your stakeholder base, and you want to circulate them, and you want to tell your stakeholders, in our next meeting that should already be scheduled, that should already have a cadence on the calendar, I want to cover these ground rules with you guys. And after we cover each rule, the do's and don'ts, I want to get your feedback on each one. So you want to make it a positive team culture where it's not just you dictating these are the ground rules, but you're checking in with each of your stakeholders to get that interaction. So let's talk about the first one. Number 1, showing respect. What are the do's and the don'ts? So the first one for showing respect is to actively listen and acknowledge one another and create a respectful environment that fosters collaboration and innovation. So that's the do. The don't is do not interrupt or dismiss others, and especially do not multitask in meetings. If you are multitasking in meetings, what it says to the facilitator, what it says to everyone else, is that what the other things you have going on are more important than why we're here today. And I know that that's not true for you. I know you don't mean that. But by multitasking in meetings, it not only reduces the overall effectiveness of the meeting, but it could lead to resentment for other folks, for other stakeholders. So do not multitask, stay focused and stay present. The second is be a human being. So what does that mean? What are the do's and don'ts of being a human being for the second ground rule? And this is, the do's are understand others' perspectives, especially in challenging situations. By understanding where people are coming from, this is preventative maintenance that potentially could prevent conflict in the future, and it can create stronger relationships. So don't be cold and calculating. Don't come across as sterile. Don't be indifferent to people's concerns. Don't have this attitude of, well, that sounds like that's your problem. That's not my problem. You should get your stuff together. Don't be lacking empathetic. That creates a hostile, disengaging environment. So don't be indifferent to their emotions. So the third ground rule for success in project management is creating a team environment. And the do's there are ensure all team members, especially remote participants. So do everything in person when and if possible, but also make sure to include remote participants. Don't ignore them, and create decisive decision-making that's inclusive across the whole team, which creates more of a cohesive fashion. So don't Here are the don'ts. Don't ignore certain people or exclude certain team members. Don't engage in office gossip or water cooler talk. The good rule of thumb is if someone is not there in person, don't talk about them. And don't take credit for someone else's work. This is going to lead to feelings of alienation and, once again, reduce overall effectiveness. So what is the fourth rule for effective project management? The do's are maintain and set the frame. So what is maintain and set the frame? The do's are start the meeting on time, end the meeting on time, send clear agendas ahead of time, make sure to clarify and ask questions, clarify action items and follow-ups before the meeting is closed out. Do not walk away from the meeting without clarifying those. So what are the don'ts? The don'ts are don't allow a specific or select group of people or person to dominate the conversation every meeting. Do not get off topic or allow people to go on tangents. Stick to the agenda. Maintain and set the frame. That's number 4. Number 5, keep great documentation. As the project manager, it's important that we keep everything documented. So those are the do's. Encourage everyone to keep the workflows documented, the decisions, the RAID log, open questions, summarize meetings after they were had, send those summaries out, keep that information memorialized somewhere where it's easy for people to access. And here's the don'ts. Don't rely on memory or verbal agreements or allow undocumented decisions to linger, because that can lead to getting off track. You may perceive an in-person meeting or your memory changes over time. So keep things documented for the purpose of creating more cohesive, collaborative environments and protecting the team to make progress on the overall project. Number 6, keep those feedback loops flowing. This is the 6th productivity tip for setting the rules for project management, and here are the do's. Ensure all voices are heard, regularly check in with team members, set open office hours for when people can come into your office, and allow the team to send anonymous feedback surveys in, and the stakeholders. Anyone that's working in the project should be allowed to send an anonymous feedback survey in to provide, and you should look at that trend over time to see, are we doing better, are we doing worse, what can we fix? Here are the don'ts. Do not play favorites or only selectively listen to feedback and say, well, I'm going to listen to this group for feedback and not listen to them. Once again, do not ignore your remote teams. Make sure your remote teams feel included. And don't be dismissive about discussing feedback altogether as a team. So feedback, indifferent or good or bad, discuss that openly. And what is the 7th tip, the 7th ground rule for good project management? The do's. Do recognize achievements. Boost morale with a little bit of good food and drinks. So don't go crazy with this stuff. If you come to an end of a 6-month implementation, a 9-month implementation, 12, 18-month implementation, and you hit a major milestone, you hit a major goal, that is a great time to recognize one another, to take the team out, to spend good money on good food and good drinks for people, and send handwritten notes. So this isn't something you have to do every Friday, but it could be at major milestones. Handwritten notes go a long way. Don't buy cheap pizza. Don't try and pass off cheap trinkets and give people cheap gifts because they know they're cheap. But people don't want dollar slices and cheap pizza. They want good food at the end of a good milestone. And don't try and do remote celebrations. Don't try and get on a video call with your remote team and say, hey, we're going to do a celebration. If you don't have the budget to go there in person, if you don't have the budget to bring them with you in person, don't try and do these things remote because they're not going to be effective. You want to try and do them in person. Okay, so wrapping these things up all together to ensure a successful project management foundation, to make sure meetings are productive and inclusive and aligned with the product's goals, while also fostering an environment of respect and positive team culture, you want to make sure you follow these 7 rules and the do's and don'ts. They will help you lead towards your projects and drive towards your project's outcomes and keep your team more engaged and motivated. This is very, very key. I want you guys to remember this. Project management is not only just about what you do, but it is about how you do it. So the call to action here is, can you elevate your project management game? I want you guys to ask yourself, can you elevate your game by implementing these steps? Right? So implement these ground rules, create an additional couple ground rules as a team together, and memorialize them and remind your team when they start going off the course. All right, guys. So thank you so much for the opportunity to think about setting the ground rules for project management success, the do's and don'ts. I hope you took this opportunity to think about your projects and think about where maybe you're going off course a little bit, or maybe we're reinforcing these ground rules to help you to create more of a cohesive, collaborative environment. And once again, welcome to Wake Up Wednesday. So wake up. Let's continue to keep the conversation going and hustle harder. I'll talk to you soon.